Another game of NoLogicGaming versus Ninjas in Pajamas, and the draft's already on the way.
Oh my God.
Regarding the previous game...
Where is Sir Action Slack Sheever?
He was actually asleep on the couch.
Do you see what was just picked? Not to spoil it.
Oh, God!
Oh, I thought you were going to say it was because something was awkward and we needed him to save us.
Oh, that's true. No, he creates all awkwardness, I feel.
Dude, he's going to be over the moon.
Literally, yeah.
Actually.
I'm going to wake him up.
Yeah, he actually, I accidentally woke him up earlier because he was asleep with his hands like this.
He really likes it when people take pictures of him when he's sleeping, by the way. Just so you know in advance.
I will put my phone out.
Good.
Next time, I guess. Yes. But we can take a look at the draft. Now, do you want to say anything regarding previous game that you feel like NoLogicGaming should do a lot better compared to that one?
They should have Mana on their Queen of Pain when she TPs up top and can get a triple kill and ends up dying instead.
That's all Sinner could talk about last game. So.
Honestly, the reason I said it a couple of times here on the couch, and I also said it to the post game, that it's just like that kind of mistake that changed the entire flow of the game. Because one thing is he doesn't get the kills, the other thing is how it affects. It's not just that you don't get the kill; you really lose momentum as a player. When he's TPing in with Queen of Pain, he doesn't have a wand, and then he was missing one bottle charge to be able to blink, scream, and Sonic Wave, and get 2 kills for himself and set up a 3rd for his team. And instead he blinked in and died to Ember. So Ember got gold, Ember got momentum, he lost everything. It's a shame.
Then it turned into a 4-protect-1 where they actually did a decent job of holding the base because they had good lane pushing. But
yeah, it took them a while before they can actually...
Then the anti-mage got cut out with no buyback, and that's pretty much
I mean, there's no place for him to farm, but with that being said, draft's already on the way, so...
PL versus Omni Knight, oh my goodness, we're going to see the new Diffusal Blade.
Oh god.
Use all 8 charges in one fight, just 3 for creeps. They don't do anything, but you can slow them, right?
Yeah.
Not bad. I like
it is actually really good against Omni now. Like, it used to be good against Omni, now it's godlike against Omni.
Okay, yeah.
You know some fun Axe? What about that?
Classic NiP lane, Omni Axe. They may even couple it with Tusk. They could try that.
That's actually such a good try lane.
That is a very scary try lane.
Like, how are you supposed to farm? Like, with whoever's the safe lane, probably Phantom Lane, so like, how are you supposed to deal with that? You have to doppelganger away. You're not going to get any CS in lane. Exactly, you're not going to live in that lane. It's just not going to happen. You're dead.
So how is NoLogicGaming going to prevent them from dying? Because so far they've only got the Winter Wyvern, which is nice, but it's more like nice to heal after the people already moved away from your carry that you're trying to heal. You can't really stop them that much from chasing down because they're in a snowball.
You don't want to pick Dazzle because it's just going to get Calling Bladed later on down the road, but that would be a good defensive support to keep somebody alive.
How about a Witch Doctor?
Yeah, that's good. I mean, you have 3 heroes coming in. I'm assuming Omni Knight is going to repel one of them, though. But, I mean, Cask is still pretty good defensively. I mean, he's a very good defensive and offensive hero, so...
I'm a little surprised NiP banned Brood, considering they have great counters. They have such a good counters.
It's still a great hero if you're good at it. You can't really completely counterpick Brood anymore. No, their players are better at the hero. But it's true. Like, they definitely have better than a lot of lineups would. It's just very difficult in general to deal with. But what I wanted to say was, I think... the best pick right now for NoLogicGaming to allow their Phantom Lines to farm is actually Enchantress. But I don't know if they play it at all, and I don't think it's in fashion right now, but in order for them to win this lane when they have a really weak laner in Wyvern early on, yes, you've got Arctic Burn, but they can negate it with healing.
They had an Enchantress offlane.
They did? Okay. Offlane. Because the thing is, if you run any regular tri-lane against this, how is PL ever going to farm against an Axe in lane? You have to either completely harass the opponents out of lane where you need a secondary ranged hero that really pressures, or you get the best of both worlds, kind of an early harassment hero that also brings in creeps. So you kind of put double the pressure on the lane. That's not really the best of both worlds. That's just more of one thing.
It was actually maybe the opponent that had the Enchantress, but it was played in one of their matchups, that's for sure. So Naga Siren
Is that a support?
Offers some control. I would have hoped that it's a support, otherwise it would take too long.
It's one thing. It's the ensnare is good against repel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but other than that, she's kind of weak in lane still.
I mean, you Riptide, and that's fine. But
they
like,
have to dodge the lane.
Yeah, they really do. I don't know what they're going to do, and that doesn't even come into play with what they're going to do mid. Are they going to send Ember mid against Queen of Pain? How's that going to work out exactly? I mean, what exactly is NoLogicGaming's plan here, honestly?
That's true. They're very, very cornered because of the Ember.
So they need an offlaner that they can dodge with, right?
What about Timbersaw? You got 3 strength heroes.
It's actually a really good Timber.
Yeah.
That's true.
They're going to pull it out, the back pocket strat. I mean, I love Timber, don't get me wrong. I hope they do pick it. That'd be fun as hell. But
the old sleep into double Chakram when you have Ags. Great combo.
If he gets eggs.
Let's see if
he might be the only one farming.
See if they get past minute 20 first and then think about it.
Yeah, but like they have such a strong
it,
early game that like how are you supposed to like this PL is not farming.
Yeah.
The Axe is going to snowball. He's going to get an early blink dagger, assuming they don't dodge the lane. And even if they do dodge the lane, he's just going to farm anyways. So maybe just start blink calling people. The Tusk will probably get farmed.
But the problem is that Ember is not ranged. Because if that was a ranged hero, a strong ranged laner, then they could do something alternative where they put Ember, whatever he would have been, they could have put him safe lane instead.
Oh my goodness.
And then they could have dealt with the Axe that way by having a ranged hero.
And this isn't even that greedy either.
This
is, I think this is fine.
They have 4 heroes that can use the Axe if you want.
And
Yeah,
you
Tusk
just get
200 damage, Walrus, or what's it called? Walrus kick? No.
Don't
Punch.
give
Walrus shit.
Yeah, it's pretty. I wouldn't. Don't,
Hey, it's a
don't give it to
repositioning
Tusk.
spell.
No,
you
don't
know?
give it to Tusk.
It's really
no,
good,
just,
man.
No, don't do that.
It gives health and strength and stuff.
Yeah, you
I
get
mean, I guess
stats
if you've
at
got
very
the
least.
excess money, if you're really like raking in the gold on Alchemist, you can go for it. But
12th item for your team.
Omni, Queen of Pain. I mean, this allows Queen of Pain to go Orchid first. If Al could still go for a more carry-oriented build because he'll probably be in the safe lane. Who knows what it'll be against? They might do dual lanes. They might do something else. So they should be able to farm.
This is actually a pretty good idea if they don't run a jungler, which I still think could have worked. But AA is good because what makes Axe so difficult to deal with in lane is that he tanks too much of the physical damage when he's in Berserker's Call. But now they can actually kill him through it with Chilling Touch. And if they run their lanes correctly, I do think if they play it very well, they can actually beat the Axe lane with this pick. This was a great solution.
AA also,
and they have it against Alk.
Once you get 6, destroys Alk. But
Yep.
I mean, the momentum, I don't know, NiP's lineup's pretty strong.
I guess we could say NoLogicGaming's is maybe a bit more harder to execute compared to Ninjas in Pyjamas lineup. Any final words before we head into the match mode? Who do you think is going to take it?
I'm wondering, well, I think NiP is going to take it with the draft they have. I'm wondering if NoLogic's going to go for dual lanes or not, but I'm not sure. We'll see.
Sin?
Yeah, as expected of this series, a clear 2-0 for NiP.
Yeah, I'll go with NiP as well.
They should have won the last game was the one where NoLogic should have shown a better performance. They had a better draft.
If they had made that one play that you were talking about, do you think they would have potentially won?
Yes.
Wow.
It
one play was GG. Just like in every pub, you make one mistake, GG.
If you instead of getting 3 kills, get 1 death, that is a mega swing. 10 minutes into the game.
That is a pretty big turnabout.
They could have still won with the mistake. Don't get me wrong, but with that, with the victory in that fight, I think they would have pulled ahead.
Well, let's see what the commentators think about their matchups. It is going to be game 2 of NoLogicGaming taking on Ninjas in Pyjamas by Toby, Purge, and Blitz.
That's right. Welcome back, everybody, here to game number 2, NiP, up against NoLogicGaming. Of course, the men with the logic. What's your thoughts looking at the draft? The panel seems to be now flip-flopping over to NiP's side of the fence.
NoLogicGaming has to play really aggressive in the early game and take some advantage. Otherwise, we're going to see repelled Alchemist just kind of kill everybody.
It does kind of feel that way. Like I was looking at the draft, like this is okay. A lot of strength, a lot of heal, a lot of immunity. Like I'm concerned that NLG won't even have the damage output to deal with this.
They kind of do, though. I mean, it's Ember Spirit with a PL. They have the Diffusal counter naturally to Omni Knight. They've got Ember to do magic damage in the early game, and I think it's looking all right, honestly, especially with Ancient Apparition. I think that was a good pick there. The Ice Blast can really help against some of their heroes. I think they have decent options. Maybe it's not amazing, but it's good. What do you think, Blitz?
Honestly, I think I sort of agree with the assessment that if NiP gets the early laning phase rolling, they kind of just run over this game. The Phantom Lancer, especially with certain nerfs, snowballs a little bit later, and you need a little bit more damage on him overall in this type of game. You've got the hard reset of the Naga, but if you're behind, it doesn't really do as much. NLG's lineup really kind of depends on being ahead at all times. Like, these aren't really the best defensive heroes to have, especially if you just kind of get run over into the late game. But that's why NLG are doing their best to kind of just give themselves every laning advantage. Like, they're sending the Ember in conjunction with the Ancient Apparition mid, and they're making sure that at bottom, Milana's just going to help Ditya Rod as much as possible too at the same time.
So if we look at the lanes, like who's doing better right now, it's what? Phantom Lancer, Winter Wyvern versus Solo Quap. But it looks like they're shifting their lanes a little. Yeah, it's just going to be dual lanes, I guess. Oh, it's a tri-lane now for the Dire team.
It kind of feels like they've sacked the Naga by doing this. Like, Naga's all up there on the top lane all by herself.
That's the point, though. It's Nikwa. He's an off-lane player, so I think he can handle this fine. He might get pressured a little bit too much from Omni Axe, though. That's the only scary part.
I actually kind of agree with Toby here. I almost feel like this is going to cost them a lot because Jonas and Von it's not even the fact that the Naga's not getting a lot. It's just the fact that Axe is getting kind of an unbelievable amount right now.
That's true.
You can always creep skip, and when he's feeling comfortable, he just runs into the tower. Because
Yeah,
the creep
exactly.
wave's always going to be there because you creep skip it out. But then again, what's Naga going to do to stop this? Like, you've got to take so much damage down to 3 tangos on this Naga Siren because she's got to tank the creep wave as well when it comes onto the tower. Because if she goes further back, she's in the killing radius of the Axe.
She does have a stout and a lot of armor, though, so it might not be awful, but I definitely agree. Axe is going to get way more out of this lane than the Naga will.
Yeah, I honestly think that NLG, they just have to dominate this aggressive tri-lane. But
Yeah.
I think NiP kind of outsmarted them. Like, they decided to send the Queen of Pain. Like, normally Limp is the mid player, but they're like, okay, we'll send the Queen of Pain here because the Alchemist definitely can't survive against this tri-lane. But we send the Queen of Pain. They have no disables. They just don't. And then you send this really aggressive lane at top that is incredibly advantage for NiP. So as long as this mid lane goes okay, which it is, then look at the advantage that the Axe has already. I can't really underscore like how important this is.
How can even the mid lane go wrong? Like, it's an Alchemist mid.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you can't lose this lane unless you get ganked. And the Ancient Apparition and Wyvern are going to be rotating very early on to try and gank for you.
Yeah. It's a really weak dual lane support for roaming, that is. All slows, nothing's super reliable. Once the Alk hits 6, well, I mean, Ice Blast will work against that. It'll stop him from regenning, but at least pre-6, it's so hard to get that kill.
NiP are actually the ones who have now rotated up. So they brought the Tuskar. Hanskin ready to dive in on this top lane if he can find just a nice little opening. And with the creep skip, you know there's going to be an opening. The Naga reveals herself for a slight moment, and all Hanskin's going to do is just stop Naga from diving in deeper behind the tree line. And there go the shards, which at least blocks Nikwa into a certain area, and they commit. Like, NLG, like, do you even TP in to stop this?
No, I think you're gonna lose a lot of heroes.
They're TPing in. They're actually bringing in 2 players. Ancient Apparition's going to arrive. Nikwa with the Battle Hunger. They're going to snowball 3 players. And again, avoiding the Splinter Blast as well. Nikwa might have been cold embrace, so he's going to survive a little bit longer. And Hanskin not looking too healthy either, and they actually do not find the kills. This is a real problem now for NiP, as Hanskin, well, he's backing up even further. There goes your Ancient Apparition. Well, the problem is no longer a problem. He'll cold embrace himself up. There's no spins coming out. Nikwa is still very low hanging around, but first blood is still achieved here by NiP, just not in the hero they're probably expecting it to be on.
It went a lot better than it should have, probably. I feel like the Ancient Apparition made a huge mistake in skilling there. He's got a 2nd level of Ice Vortex, which gives a very marginal benefit. 5% slow, 5% magic damage. He could have gotten Cold Feet and guaranteed at least like 100 magic damage, because 1 point in Cold Feet, if it goes all the way through, is 150 magic damage. And with that, they definitely could have killed a lot faster, but with just Chilling Touch and the 2 Ice Vortexes, it did almost nothing. It's kind of good with Arctic Burn, I guess, but that's about it.
Yeah, at the same time, I think NLG kind of had to realize that was going to be an inefficient trade. This is an incredibly strong tri-lane by NiP, and at the same time, it's a level 5 Axe. Like, you're just not going to fight that hero with what you have.
So you should be happy you got away with only 1 casualty.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that could have turned out worse. If Milan was a little bit lower and NiP mana managed a little bit better, that should have just been a free double kill. And so that was almost the best scenario that you're going to get. And I actually think that you kind of just devote everything to bottom, because now the Phantom Lancer is losing the lane. Like, if you notice the CS difference, the Queen of Pain is actually 5 ahead of the Phantom Lancer, and this top lane is not even close anymore. Like, this is pretty much a dead lane for NLG now.
So the game gets harder. Only 16 CS for PL.
Your aggressive tri-lane.
Yeah, aggro tri-lane doesn't work. Your rotation back results in a kill. And the pressure on the top lane doesn't end, because now they snowball after Nikwa. The call will lock him in position. The shards, well, that's not going to help anything right now. It just locks in Nikwa, but they already had the control there. And, well, the Wyvern battling from the tree line. At least that's enough damage that the Axe feels like he has to fall back. But because you're doing this, you're keeping 2 players up on this top lane who are getting nothing. Well, the Wyvern is still 0 for 0. I know the Tuskar as well as the Omni Knight are the same, but does it even really matter? You got a 53 for 2 CS Axe, 6 minutes into the game. He's been taking jungles as well as the pull.
I thought he was saying no for sure, but it's actually a P. P for pause.
Jonas really likes doing this build, though, going for the Vanguard over going for the immediate Blink Dagger. And I talked to him about this, and I said, why do you decide to do this? And he says, you're not really going to have to pressure with the Blink anyways, whereas if you go for the Vanguard, it makes you nearly ungankable in the lane, and it makes it just so that you can play so aggressively and continue to snowball. Whereas if you go for the Blink Dagger first, it's almost like you have to go for the gank or the item doesn't pay for itself. But you're not going to have the levels to back yourself up. You don't really want to just turn into a ganker, especially when you're this far ahead. Like, take advantage of how far ahead you are. Like, continue to play aggressively, get really tanky, make it so that 3 heroes coming to gank you does nothing. At that point, you have to commit your Ember Spirit, and then it's like 4 heroes just to deal with an axe. And the laning phase has just completely been won by NiP so far.
It used to be something you could do when your Culling Blade did more damage, because then you could actually solo gank, but it's a lot harder now. You kind of need 2. And the Vanguard's also really good against PL, because his illusions will get damage blocked, so I really like the Vanguard pickup.
I suppose, too, you don't really require a Blink Dagger when you got someone like a Tuskar sitting next to you. You snowball in all the time. You've already got the repositioner. Does he do the same kind of thing when you play things like Slardar? Because I'm wondering if it's more of a problem he feels in the Axe, where the Axe doesn't really get the damage from the call.
I think it's more...
As opposed to something like Crush.
I think it's more of an Axe thing, more than a Slardar thing. I feel like the Slardar needs the mobility.
Nikwa gets a double Riptide. That's going to help with the double TPs coming in as well. They really want to try and find kills with this Ember Spirit. So Excalibur moving forward, but the Repel, they got no way to get this off him. So it's going to walk himself out. You can Chilling Touch up, so now they can do it. Purification will connect, and this will be Seal Kid dying. So when LG get a successful rotation, a kill into the Ember Spirit, which is very well needed.
Nico really saved his mana there, and that was his goal. I think at least he could have actually just simply casted Ensnare as soon as he repelled himself, but he chose not to.
I think he was afraid because if you cast the repel, then he just TPs out.
Yeah. Did he have a TP? He did. You're right. You're totally right.
He was just chilling. Like he knew. He's like, we 100% have this kill. But it took them a bit longer, and they lost the courier.
Yep. Just that easy run up by the Axe to ensure he actually Culling Bladed the courier down too.
He's trying to buy his Vanguard from the secret shop. That's a hard lesson to learn, man. It's so hard to remember that.
Why did they ever change that? Like, do they not understand the Dota players do not like change?
There's the Vanguard pickup.
He doesn't have his ulti though. He used it on the courier.
Here they come after Nikwa, and with the 2 of them together, Nikwa will be cold embraced up. The cold feast there for the Axe, but he still wants to just keep spinning it out, and Nikwa gonna commit the Song of the Siren just to get herself away to safety, as well as the rest of the team. They're chasing after this one. I suppose, why does NiP have to give it up? A Blink to Sonic Wave could find themselves an easy pick on Nikwa.
He's too under-leveled though. He's only level 7 here. Doesn't even have treads yet. Not the best place for him to be in.
And a level 1 Blink isn't really enough to keep the chase going too.
And it's scary, actually. Your HP is very low. I mean, they don't really have enough mana, but if they did, they could very easily turn around and just blow him up. So we'll see a Quap, a lot more Gimp than we normally see her. He's going to have to play very differently this game than normal.
I think it's still easy enough to catch out that mid lane. Excalibur's Spirit currently is only sitting in the lane. There's nothing more than that. So they're about to run themselves in. Well, I say run, they're going to snowball in Excalibur. There's the defensive Spirit, but where's the chase? It's there from Limp. The Sonic Wave will be committed. Excalibur surviving for now until the Culling Blade from Unison Farm is able to connect. Somehow that Queen of Pain also surviving him, the tree line. Whilst Milan on the run out of here, having to run a little bit faster, but not fast enough. Not with that extra movement speed from the Battle Hunger into a second Culling Blade. And Nikwa, now it's his turn. The Purification instantly get rid of all those illusions. And 3 heroes dying here for NLG underneath the tier 2 tower eventually.
It helps the Queen of Pain so much when you have a hero like Axe with a Vanguard to just go do aggressive stuff, and you can just weave in and out, jump in, cast a Scream. It's like her damage is basically the main damage that they have on their team right now, and Axe is able to provide that protection.
Yeah, that's something that we saw missing in that last game, because it almost felt like Excalibur had to play the role of blinking aggressively, and then he would just get blown up. But you're completely right. I agree with your assessment. I think that having the Axe just alleviates so much pressure from her. She can decide to play that passive-aggressive game, kind of play the blink timing around, because you know that you've got a lot of heroes that can initiate for you. And that's kind of what I really like about NiP's lineup, is that it's not solely on just the Tusk or the Queen of Pain or the Axe. Like, you've got 3 different heroes that can run, and at the same time you've got incredibly tanky cores. Like, you've got an Alchemist that is going to be a huge problem to deal with once he gets his Radiance. And I think we talked about this last night, Kevin, where we were just like, once Alk gets that Radiance, there's not a whole lot of heroes that can fight against him.
Yeah, even against Ember Spirit, he's going to be missing 17% of his Sleight of Fist. That does work like that, right? Like, like evasion or mischance that your primary hero has while your Sleight of Fisting goes through. Yeah. Even if it doesn't, like, it's still a huge amount of damage reduction. Same goes for PL. Like, these guys need to hit, and it's going to happen less often. And their burst damage is not amazing, but at least they have the saving grace of Ice Blast. They've got to get it, though. A is sitting at 5 at the moment, almost 6. Once he has that, that's how they focus NiP, but...
The snowball's coming in. They're chasing after Didira. Is he going to run himself away? The Observer Ward is still up, but Axe does not have that Blink Dagger available. And imagine what it's going to be like as well for Didira. You get the snowball running, you got a doppelganger away, and then the Axe, he hasn't been attacked, he just blinks himself up and chases after you.
Yeah, that's a good point. It will get scarier, and he's almost got it. 70 gold away.
Yeah. And now, well, okay, well that's another way to do it. Yeah, there's no doppelganger, 2 seconds on cooldown. Now he can do it, jumping to the other side of the shards, but Snowball, well, they just drag him in. There's just no escaping this NiP lineup. The Purification missing definitely does help, but he needs one more attack for a Culling Blade. No, he doesn't. The Culling Blade is going to be enough. At the same time, the Queen of Pain gets called out here by Excalibur.
That's a pretty significant pickup, but at the same time, your Phantom Lancer was... You're pretty much running a dual core with the Ember Spirit and the Phantom Lancer. And the Ember Spirit already was having a rough time, but your Phantom Lancer isn't even going to have a significant item like Drums or Boots of Travel or Diffusal before the Axe gets the Blink Dagger. And then I think from that point on, the pressure is on. And so one of these cores has to just do really well. And I guess it has to be the Ember, but... I mean, the pressure's going to come so quickly. Like, Arrow just finished the Radiance.
Axe has got to be so happy, honestly, because when you're playing Axe against a PL, you just get your mana drain and then you can't do Culling Blade. But he's got this Blink and Vanguard at such an early timing that PL's like, oh, I just bought my Bracer. That's all he's got at the moment. He's going to have a Bracer, not even starting his Diffusal Blade, and Axe can just do whatever he wants this game.
Okay, so that's a 12-minute flat Radiance for Era.
That's okay.
That's all right.
With treads
that's decent.
and a bottle.
What do we have to analyze about that?
that's Alchemist, guys. I like his skill build, actually. Just a little bit of everything kind of covers him in all locations. You can basically get away with less, especially if you're passively farming mid. You don't need that many acid sprays. You can just kind of sit mid, get your last hits, and stack camps.
It's kind of funny watching his build doing this compared to what we saw earlier today in the SEA qualifiers, where they were completely skipping Unstable Concoction. So they went a 4-0-4 build before actually putting a point up to Concoction, just because they just played for the greed.
That's dangerous. If you get ganked or if someone ganks your lane, that one stun point, it's 1.75 second stun. It's 150 physical at max. Like, it's very greedy to give that up. But I guess if you don't get pressured enough, it's worth it.
Well, at this point, I'll be saying it was Black who was doing it. Okay. So if you want greed for gold, he is kind of your man.
We saw that stun actually pay off though. That level 1 when they went for the Ember Spirit, they couldn't initially get the snowball. Like that was what enabled them to kill that Ember. Yeah.
It's kind of cool. It's so slow that it's a benefit.
Yeah, exactly. It'll always follow through. Yeah. It's hard to dodge. But this Ember Spirit's been really pressured. He has almost no real items to speak of. If he goes for the Boots of Travel for the pure mobility, even then he'll be quite delayed. And this Battle Fury isn't really going to get on time. And Nikwa's not really going to be the core that you want him to be.
Is he going Midas? He's got a Gloves of Haste. I'm going to assume it's not going to be an Armlet or something.
No, that's got to be...
The Treads Arcane Boots build.
It's got to be catch-up Midas.
I really like what Hansken's been doing with his Snowball this game, though. He's used it so well. Always is the chase for Axe, making up for the lack of Blink. They're going to find Ditya though. Yep,
but they're already... you actually blink forward into the Doppelganger, and Didira's got nowhere to get out of this one. Now, in with the Unstable Concoction, they are going to put him under, but they just chip him down far enough. Okay, Unison Farm is really hesitant about it. Now, finally, he'll actually dunk down the PL. And 30 seconds on the sideline means they're going to lose a Tier 2 tower here, more than likely. And if it's not a Tier 2 tower, it's a gank on the top lane. It's Excalibur. Unison Farm is already creep-skipping this out and keeping Excalibur off the lane. And what can he do? Like, this is the strongest hero in NLG. And he can't walk up to the Axe. Because he'll die. Pretty much.
It's going to take him a Diffusal Blade before he can do that, really. Oh, I'm sorry, PL at least. Ember Spirit as well. Can't do much of the same thing. He might get killed. He doesn't have TP for 10.
Ember feels honestly really... It's not that it's useless, but against an Axe that has this much amount of farm, like, what is your Sleight of Fist going to do when you've got no damage to the items?
Yep. They should jump in forward. Axe. Oh, they're going to end up missing on the Ember Spirit, and he'll actually be able to BT himself away to safety. But the rest of NLG were moving into position for this one. Now, Nikwa, he could potentially Song of the Siren and catch out all 5 heroes of NiP close. How much can be made of this from NLG? That's the secondary question. So there's your Song of the Siren. All 5 heroes caught. The Ice Blast coming in, and it hits on the Alchemist. They curse him up, but then again, Limp takes more damage than that. The Snowball will arrive in, but where is your extra bonus damage kicking in? It's just not there for NLG because they're just too strong. Era, actually, he managed to dodge that Ice Blast by the looks of it, and just chases after Spartan.
He's so strong.
He's just Radiant's burning him down. I think NLG may even want to call this game before they lose a tier 3 tower. It's just, there's such a one-sided fight.
I saw what they're going for with the song, but it wasn't quite perfect. Everybody was spread just enough that the Winter's Curse wasn't going to catch a lot, that the Ice Blast would maybe catch 2.
The Ancient Apparition seemed too close as well. That radius was so small. Like,
yeah, that's a good point. Maybe he should have stood farther back, because they used like 3 seconds of sleep or something like that. If that would have landed, they might have had a better shot to get a double kill or something like that. They did still kill the Queen of Pain. It was something, but
in return, you lose your Ember, you lose your PL. That hope for a stronger Ember or a PL who can have a diffuser blade keeps moving further and further away from NLG's grasp.
Yeah, it's looking not good for them for sure.
Yeah.
I think even more importantly, it's just the fact that you have to win these fights because your supports are getting so far behind.
Yeah.
And every consecutive fight loss, like the cores can eventually find ways to catch up. But when you're an Ancient Apparition and a Winter Wyvern that pretty much have to sit behind heroes at all times, what are you actually going to do in this game? You can't just sit there and be level 6, but at the same time, you can't deviate from your cores because that's the way that you're going to get back into this game. It's almost just like a lose-lose situation. But how do you really deal with Era? Like, I mean, that was just hilarious. He's like slowly running at them with Radiance. No slow, no stun, but...
Did my eyes deceive me, or did he actually get far enough north that he actually dodged the Ice
he
Blast?
dodged it, and he got repelled. The Omni as well did repel him. Obviously, the Ice Blast would stay on him for that duration, which would give him the Shatter, but he wouldn't take the damage from it.
And it's just... when you set up that much as well, and you still only hit one person with the AA ulti, that's not the way you have a very good dream. That's a nightmare for NLG.
He's going the SNY build after Radiance, and he'll turn that into a Manta Silver Edge, most likely late game. I really like that build.
And Eric can do anything on this one. Wonderful blink, actually catching out Milan over in the sides. Another Culling Blade kill for Unison Farm. And there's just nowhere they can go from here. Like, you lose your Wyvern in the tree line. The rest of NLG didn't look like they had any intention of fighting down there. So the Wyvern was just hoping to come in from behind, and then they attack onto the tier 2 tower. Like, well, they attack when NiP hit the tier 2. Maybe that was the plan.
But as soon as he's cast Splinter Blast, he's like, okay, they know where I am. It was a good guess for Yonosum Fan. He instantly caught him. So it's hard not to get tilted like that when you're losing so badly, but tries to stop the push and he gets caught.
I mean, 15k net worth difference at this phase of the game is really difficult to deal with just because NiP continue to put aggression on and you can't deal with the Radiance Alchemists. What NLG really have to do is split up, farm as much as they possibly can, go for that one base defense, and hope that NiP get a little bit too over-aggressive, which NiP, you know, they can do from time to time. Like, this is a really good team, but at the same time, we saw them get a little bit too over-eager in that last game, and NLG can still abuse that to their advantage, but NiP kind of just feel incredibly focused, especially after the last game when they did mess up. I almost feel like they kind of said, okay, let's take this one pace by pace, objective by objective. Let's go for the Roshan. Let's wait for our items. And it just kind of feels like they're snowballing so hard in this game right now.
Well, speaking of that, Excalibur. Oh, man. That hurts to watch. Getting caught out inside the Rosh pit. And 12 kills to 3. 18 minutes and a half in. The net worth the Alchemist is through the roof at 13,000. It's...
more than double the next highest on his enemy team.
The 6.2 of the Ember. And then you still have the 5k of the Naga, but what's all that money really gone towards? Like,
Midas is about 2k of it. So he essentially has a net worth of 3,000, because the Midas attack speed pretty much does nothing for his hero.
Yeah.
So that's really scary. But they can defend. Riptide, Mirror Image, they can spam out Splinter Blast. Splinter Blast is one of the best counter push abilities in the game.
So they can take out the creep wave. They just can't take out the heroes right now.
You have the Ice Blast though, eventually to deal with that.
Yeah.
Like Ice Blast is still one of the best abilities at getting back in the game.
Yeah, and really they don't even need NiP to group when they're about to go high ground. They just need them to group it all, because if Naga's in a good position, she can cast Sleep, and then you can set up the fight wherever it is. You don't really have to worry about positioning as much, with the exception of the positioning of the Naga. So if they do group a little bit too much, NLG could do a huge wombo combo, especially with the instant cast Winter Wyvern. As long as the snowball's not there to instantly protect everybody, they could easily win a fight. But it's going to take NiP grouping a little bit too much, and it's going to take the Naga being in a good position and not being dead.
Alright, so Nikwa does have that Handamitis, and on a side note, as a PSA, this is the correct way to play Alchemist. Don't just get the Radiance and farm. Get aggressive on the map.
Oof, Sunra. Well, there's aggression, but not from the Alchemist. But yeah, that Blink Dagger jump in. What's going on, boys?
Said Sunra again.
Yeah.
Oh, come on!
Cap would like me to tell you that a translation...
Yes. Just like a voice. I should be calling him Tail if I call him Sunra. As in fact, Diddy-Ra.
I don't understand. Does that mean sun or something?
Yeah, but
it means Son of Ra.
Cap would every single time that Toby does it.
Originally, when Diddy-Ra first I started casting him, I was calling him Son of Ra because that's what I was told his name was.
Yes, but Cap says.
Yes, I know. Okay, Cap can shove his information up his.
I love this Arrow Blink Dagger, actually. It's really cool. It basically turns him from just like a passive run at you to being like, I could actually just show up and stun somebody for 4 seconds and win the game.
It's like, not even that. He gets behind the support heroes and 2-shots them.
Yeah, that's also an option. But what if he jumps in and stuns Ember Spirit or something? Like, they could just burst him down instantly. Purification, Quap abilities. I mean, even if he does get covered with Chilling Embrace, like, it's still going to be tough.
I think the most important thing is it allows him to really abuse the repel timing. Like, you repel your Alchemist and he doesn't have to slowly run at you, then he can play that aggressive game where he can get behind a hero and just go to town. And if you're this far behind as NLG, what do you actually do against that? Like, at this phase of the game, you're hoping to be ahead against the Omni Knight so you can neutralize him as a threat.
Get out of that Unison farm, and he will do so. He blinks out. That was a smoke move from NLG.
I mean, I think he could have fought by himself. I'm not sure at this point.
Yeah.
He's really tanky.
Yeah. He like, having a 4-staff, unless you cursed him, he would still be able to get himself into a better position.
Blink on Tusk, that'll actually help a lot for counter initiation, whoever gets initiated on.
Is this now 4 blinks? It's, yeah, it's 4 blinks. Tuskar, Alchemist,
it's technically 5 because the Queen of Pain.
True.
That's such a big advantage. Just like, if you gave a Blink Dagger to everybody on NLG, they still wouldn't. Damage on Excalibur on the top lane. He's getting right-click down, and Limp is... He can get out, actually. He didn't have a Spirit down, though.
That's problematic. Hanskin gonna snowball himself in now, and where's that runaway? Hanskin right behind him. There's the call. Diddy-Ra getting caught out, and that's the 2 callers again down for NLG. 16-3. It is not a happy life at all for NLG. It's.
Does Nico buy Radiance here? I feel like he does, right?
Radiance can't do enough though. Like,
well, what's your better enough? Like, there's not a whole lot that he can do that you're gonna say is, oh, he'll instantly win the game if he buys that item. But I feel like Radiance would be something, unless Unison Fan
gets called out as well.
Heat-seeking vision.
Man, you almost feel like he's still gonna work in towards that diffusal blade because the PL's not gonna get there.
No.
That's at least something. But no. if you go Radiance, like, the burn's not going to do any damage.
It's not about doing damage, it's about split pushing and preventing the creeps from going high ground, I feel.
If you go for the Diffusal, you're not going to win the team fight anyways.
Yeah.
I almost feel like you have to go for the Radiance here. It's like you're already so far behind that you have to go for, like, the craziest possible play. But shout out to Seal Kid right there. Like, you notice that he instantly uses the repel to make sure that there's nothing the Naga can do. Like, even if she sleeps, she's dead.
Yeah.
That's just a really smart heads-up play. But like, if you go for the Diffusal, you Diffusal off the repel, and then
what?
And then what?
Your illusions aren't going to stay alive. They're going to die really fast within like 6 seconds or something between the Radiance and the Acid Spray and maybe like a Stray. Scream of Pain or something. They'll just die. So
she is going to go for the Diffusal, but
Are you serious?
Yeah.
After all that.
But I think you're so far behind that you go for the most that you possibly can.
It's the mindset. You probably think at least Diffusal Blade I can finish.
In his defense with Diffusal Blade, he can remove silences from allies. That's actually pretty big. Whoever the Quap goes on with Orchid. Maybe that's his other thing. It's like if he gets Diffusal, he can automatically sleep. If he doesn't have Diffusal, she could just jump in and kill Naga.
We're probably just too used to playing with Bambo. this would have been the Bambo
Maybe.
play to go for the Radiance on Naga. You know it would be.
I would rather go for the bigger offensive potential here than the slight defensive potential.
Yeah, I completely agree, actually. But, I mean, I think Nikwa is kind of back to the wall. So going for, I mean, obviously he's a much better player than either of us. But I feel like in this type of situation, he might not sense how far behind he is. But you kind of have to feel it, right? Like 25K is pretty significant.
I kind of wish you just said he's a much better player than you. So that would have been hilarious. You messed up. But you would have gotten a Reddit thread. Definitely.
No, I completely understand that it's hard to criticize players because, you know, they're going to know what they're doing. But at the same time, 25K, you've got to go for something big here.
Yeah. I like Arrow's items as well, not focusing too much on his personal survivability since most of NLG is magic damage, so he doesn't really need an AC. Just opting for the lockdown. He can stun somebody for like 6 seconds now.
They just smoke on the back.
Yep.
Okay, so they're going to try and move around at the same time. Well, there was an ancient apparition. They just removed him from the fight. Era running himself away, and with the purification, did he rob? There's that Orchid attack, and just a quick culling blade. The Sonic Waver comes too late, and you've still got a repelled up Alchemist. He just keeps running in, and they call GG. While running away, you'll get the curse, but all you blow is the Aegis Immortal. The Sonic Wave from Limp will finish the job, and this is most definitely GG. Potentially it was GG after the laning phase. But NLG wanted to hold on. They wanted to see how far they could push it.
They danced the lane so well there. NiP, that is. Like, they were like, oh, Alchemist can take a 1v1, no problem. We'll pressure the Naga Siren a huge amount, so we won't have to worry about him getting a Radiance at all. Like, it just won't happen. And then they just kept moving their lanes, and it kept going to their benefit. Like, most times when I feel like lane rotations happen like that, the other team will accommodate. But that game, it seemed like they were like 2 minutes behind on the lane rotations. They didn't adjust to them.
Yeah, it honestly felt like NiP just wanted from the laning phase, like you said. The decision to move Limp to the safe lane, where he could pretty much win that tri-lane just because when you win the tri-lane like that, it's just because both of the supports can't really pressure you. Like, there's no threat to him. He's like, no matter what happens, as long as I save my blink, I'm 100% okay. And then that completely removes the pressure from his game. And at the same time, the Alchemist will do fine against the Ember Spirit. You just spam out ASUS Cloud. Because you get the first bounty rune, there's no real lane that the Alchemist loses. And then that top lane, like you talked about, Toby, early on, you're just like, what is supposed to happen in this lane? You're just like, the Naga, yeah, maybe she can survive, but it's not even. It doesn't even come down to that. It just comes down to the overwhelming amount of farm that the Axe got. Like, that was actually ridiculous. He got every single CS, and then he went to the jungle to do the small caps whenever they came up. Like, that was like the max possible efficiency that he possibly could have gotten.
He played really well. Every time he was ganking someone too, he'd always like find exactly where they're hiding in trees. He went straight for them every single time. That guy read the game.
Yeah, it was a wonderful game from NiP. People wondered, would they be back? It's a consistent draft for them, and great reading of the lanes. We'll see if it's going to be capable for them in the future part of the qualifiers. For now, though, it's time to head it back over to the panel to get their thoughts.
Yeah, thank you, Toby. And that game, I mean, it was a joy seeing Jonathan Fan's Axe, don't get me wrong, but it kind of felt like a slaughter to me.
Can we spend 30 minutes talking about that game?
30
There's so
minutes?
much to go over.
There was so much.
Yeah.
I feel like we could go back and forth and then discuss which melee hero do you want to be crushed in lane by Axe? Naga, Ember, or PL? And whatever you choose, I will say it's another one, and then Mod will argue for the third, and then we'll swap.
That sounds good to me.
And then
I mean, easily 45 minutes.
In all seriousness,
though, more than that. Come on, give him some credit. Honestly, this kid.
In all seriousness, though, I think the AA pick could have actually worked against the Axe, but that didn't seem like that was their plan with it. Then they went for an aggressive trial lane, and no matter who of Ember and Naga you put against that Axe lane can't do anything. I think if you're putting a hero up top to leech anyway, put a hero that benefits from the first 4,000 gold a lot more than the Naga does. They picked Naga knowing that was going to happen.
So when I saw the Naga, at first I thought it was support. So I'm like, this is actually pretty greedy just to have it as support. Yeah. Turned out to be a 3, which is even more greedy against that lineup. And I mean, the casters already said that they just snowballed out of control. And with a lineup like that, you can't let that happen. Sorry?
With Dusk snowballing out of control.
Yes, pun actually not intended for once. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Good catch.
It was a good pun then.
Thank you. Not really.
The unintended ones are the best.
That's true. That is a good point.
Yes.
Mod, do you like snowballing?
I love snowballing.
Good.
It's great.
Do you like it with caffeinated beverages?
I do. Caffeinated beverages are the best part of it.
Okay, thank you.
As far as the game is concerned, I think there was absolutely nothing you could really do in that situation. They just got outdrafted hardcore. I mean, that was it. I mean, we saw it once, and Sid mentioned this, once the PL came out, you know, their lanes were already really greedy. They had such a strong tri-lane on the other side on NiP. There was nothing you could really do to actually make that any easier on the side of NLG. So I don't know really what they could have done. Maybe they had plans for the Naga to be a support in the first place, and they're like, okay, what do we do now? Let's scramble. Let's find something we can get done.
It did kind of seem like a panic of sorts,
yeah, I mean,
right?
it definitely was, because what are you supposed to do in that situation? You know, all your lanes are getting crushed if you put them in the normal, you know, standard laning assignment, and then you switch it up and you're still getting crushed. And honestly, that top lane could have gone a lot worse. They could have got so many different kills early on in the game. Axe could have gone for a blink earlier and maybe just snowballed even harder, but he went for a Vanguard so that he could take more damage, be more effective in terms of being a damage soaker. And really, that was actually a good, fun game to watch, because that was like an old NiP game. That's like what they used to pick for Jonas and Fan, things like that. And I actually had a lot of fun watching NiP that game, not so much for the other squad, but what are you going to do?
I'm wondering how much better the game would have gone for them if they put standard lanes with what they had. So they put the Naga off lane against Quap, and then every time you get Shadow Struck, you just use Mirror Image and dispel it, and you can play that lane. It's actually totally doable. You have high armor, you can go for a Poor Man's Shield and actually trade. And then you play, they got the Ember versus Alk mid, which I think was really good for them, since if that was an Ember versus Quap, it would have been horrible. And then the top lane, they could have maybe played, what would they have had? PL, Wyvern, and AA. Because AA could have worked in that lane, Chilling Touch with Arctic Burn is insane on level 1.
And
like,
PL
the damage on that is
don't Mirror Images also get the Chilling Touch?
No,
it's just heroes, I believe.
But even then, he still has ways of dealing with Axe in that lane. Like when you get snowballed, you can doppelganger away and force them under the tower and stuff like that.
What if they snowball on somebody else, though? Like, they just kill everybody else instead?
It's not
I mean,
that
I understand
simple.
what you're saying, and I think it would have been better, but I still think it would have ended
The
up
thing
in
is, if they laned like that, NiP might have just adapted.
And I think
they could have swapped around.
There were some situations where the Wyvern was actually doing pretty well. He was getting, you know, good cold embraces off. There were instances where he was saving whoever was up there at that time. They had good rotations. They even they almost killed a couple of people with Chilling Touch. I mean, almost, but you know, obviously.
It's a thought that counts.
But Wyvern is really good in that tri-lane.
Yeah, I agree. And like you were saying, I mean, the Ember Spirit mid, he was even in CS for a period of time, and then he just, you know, it wasn't enough. No. So we could talk about it all day, but
we can focus on the positive here. I love watching Era because it seems like he picks a different carry every game.
True,
that guy plays everything.
Yes.
He actually is so versatile.
And he's very good at his role.
Oh, really? He's good.
You know,
I didn't know he was good too. That's awesome.
Okay, so
should need to pay attention.
So we actually have updated standings this time. We can take a look at the standings so far. Mostly Group A. I think there's only been games in Group A. There's been one series in Group B. This was actually Group B, of course. There you go. But yeah, these are the standings. Now, I have to say, from this distance, they could all be zeros or ones.
I can read them, kind of.
Alliance is currently undefeated. They've won 2 series, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
So
we are actually going to watch them next. They're going to be up against Team Liquid.
I feel like a third column for played should just be points. Am I crazy
agree.
here?
No, you're not crazy.
Because that's a big deal, right? 2-0 is
it's a gigantic
3 points.
Deal. 2-0 is 3 points.
So
one
Team
game
Liquid
is 1 point.
Yeah, Liquid and Alliance both have 6 points. That's a lot after 2 games.
Yes.
That's really big.
And that means that the next game that we're going to see, or rather the next series that we're going to see, has a gigantic impact, because if one of those two teams, Team Liquid or Alliance, can 2-0 the opponents, it's almost, not entirely, everything can still happen, but it's almost a guarantee to make it through to the playoffs.
So they both have 2 series wins, not just 2 game wins?
Yes.
So what do they do if it's a draw? How do they display that on the standings? Because that's neither a win or a loss.
It'll be 2...
So then it's just neither, and then it's one more played. And that's how you indicate it's a draw.
No, because it goes per game. So if you have 2 games played, if you have one series is 2 games.
Yeah.
So we just saw Alliance seeing 2 games won.
So they have 3 points.
Yes.
Not 6.
Yes.
Okay.
Wait.
Yes.
No. 2 wins as in 2 match wins.
All right, can we look at that again?
Can we look at that again?
Listen,
Put up the standings
I checked Wikipedia. They have 4 total wins over 2 matches.
Okay.
They
Yeah,
have
because
6
Alliance have won
points.
2 series.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
So then what I'm saying is, if there's a draw, how do you display
Then
that? If
maybe
a
it's
win
not
is a
entirely
series-
updated.
Is there a draw column? I have no.
There
I
isn't.
don't have my
There's a
glasses
win,
on.
loss,
The
and play.
graphic is flawed.
No,
okay?
they
Is that what
they've
you're
been
trying to say,
changing the
Cinda?
graphic. You guys are asking for too much. Just we have to get used to the new system.
We'll just get the feedback in. I will relook at the standings, at the schedule, not the schedule, the graph.
I mean, you
and we
can't
change
display it. It's just a little counterintuitive.
Shannon, you need a caffeinated beverage, okay?
Oh my goodness!
That's right there, actually.
I do
So
have
what
one.
I'm saying is, if
Thanks to
Alliance,
Monster Energy for providing this delicious. This flavor,
That's
by the way,
best.
they don't have this in the U.S. So you're actually going to zoom in.
They do.
Dude,
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I have never
I've
seen
had
this
it in the
before.
it's actually new. So maybe
I've had it
Okay.
in the US.
Apparently, Shane had this 4 years ago.
What?
Unless he's actually insane, this is not.
they
is.
did not have that 4 years ago.
I haven't never seen this.
Is there
before.
not a made in thing? No.
Yeah, it's going to say made in this year. You don't want to drink it when it's that old, right? But
2011.
We're really
I've
going
never
in on
seen-
these caffeinated beverages.
Before this year, I've never seen this one before, and it's actually like because it tastes like Fanta.
yeah, well, people keep saying that it's similar.
It's similar.
It's more like a lot of Europeans won't know this. Squirt. Have you ever had a squirt before?
I know Squirtle.
That's not a caffeinated beverage.
Yeah,
People are going to
it
get in these
could be.
inside jokes very soon with Mott here. Mott's the meme creator in the studio.
What? Are you kidding me? Who am I sitting next to?
It's
Unbelievable.
good. Just accept your role.
Let's go with it.
Think about the people we have here. Just think about it, and then think
I'm
of
waiting.
me.
Okay, so the ultimate trio, Shiva, and I think it's going to happen eventually, is
Okay.
Cinderin, Owen, and Slacks.
The,
You're going to go insane.
okay, so for the panel for next game, it's gonna be yourself,
Yes?
Owen,
Yes?
Slacks.
Okay, so I'm not a big memer, believe it or not. It's not a. I'm.
I know you're not.
All right.
But everyone calls you
Cinderin
memes fan for no reason.
Cinderin
so it's
is such a memer that it just rubs off on me sometimes. But yeah, that panel's going to be awful. Enjoy yourself.
It's going to be amazing. Before we go there, though, let me just quickly remind you that you can go to facebook.com/ROGNordic to win a motherboard and a robot that doesn't move. Actually, it's a robot statue. There you go.
That doesn't move.
Way to sell it, Shiva.
I don't think it moves, because this is it. I don't
Can
want
you
to
move
break
its
it.
arms manually?
No.
It's a figurine.
All right.
It's a figurine
Oh,
of the robot.
Oh, nice.
Thanks.
What? Hand-painted?
A robot that doesn't
Do you have to
move.
paint? It's hand-painted, guys.
A figurine.
Check it out. But you can go to facebook.com/ROGNordic, and there you can fill in your most valuable hero of this qualifier, of this regional qualifier that is, and then on the 14th we'll be selecting a winner, so also put in a good motivation with that, why you think that hero is the most valuable hero. And also, if you want to be kept up to date with all the other qualifiers, there's a very easy way to do that if you go to your App Store on your phone, whichever provider service thing you have, App Store or Google Play, I think it's called, and you can download the Score Esports app for all your Dota scores, so make sure you check that out. Now, our next series is going to be Alliance versus Team Liquid, and I don't want to wait for that any longer, but we do have to wait for a little while longer because we first have commercials. We'll be right back.